Ho, ho, gals and guys. So this is the last one as far as movie reviews are concerned, and I kind of ran out of movies to review. So this was supposed to be a Roku free streaming Christmas movie review video, and I just couldn't find any that interested me or seemed any good, and just seemed what was left was scraps, and those scraps just happened to be Hallmark movies, Lifetime movies, things that I have no interest in watching, and those things I'm not interested in reviewing. If you love those movies, fantastic, but this is not the video for you. So I kind of went down a different rabbit hole. So I saw a documentary about being Santa Claus. So these are real life people learning how to be Santa Claus, mall Santa Clauses, party Santa Clauses, things of that nature. And I watched one, and it was very interesting, and I had a good time watching it. A lot of cheer, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughs out of it. So I found a bunch of other ones that I watched. So I want to spotlight those. 3 of them are free that you can watch. I'm going to spotlight one that's on HBO Max. So you can, if you have that, you can watch that or look out for it. And there's other ways to watch it, if you know what I mean. There's a bunch of shorts on YouTube they can watch. I'll link those. Everything down in the description is going to be linked. I'm going to cheat. There is one Roku movie that I actually did enjoy, so I'll do that one first, and then I'll go into the documentaries. And it's kind of weird because all these people in each documentary, the 3 main ones that I'm going to focus on, it's like everyone knows everyone. It's like a small knit kind of community, at least in the Northeast, anyways. Because there's a school that used to be in Albion, New York. It moved to Michigan. And everyone knows everyone. There's a guy, I think his name was Santa Rick or something. So he's mentioned he passed away, I think a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, maybe a little longer. And he opened the school in Albion, and they moved it to Michigan, and then he passed away. And he'll be mentioned in each of these documentary videos by individual Santas, and each video covers a different set of Santas, but you'll see like a set of Santas in one documentary show up in another documentary. So that's pretty cool. It's like spin-offs of itself or something. So that's very interesting. I found all 3 very interesting and just very fun, and it really filled you with that Christmas spirit, if I can be so lame as to say that. So let's get going. So, of course, I always want to show you all the streaming services that are out there where you can watch free movies and TV shows. These are a bunch of them, and there's more out there if you do yourself a Google search. And like I mentioned, I just couldn't find movies that interested me to review for you. I think I exhausted everything, and I'll have to do something next year, something different as far as this is concerned. But here are the movies that we're going to be covering. One is an actual fiction movie, and then the other are nonfiction documentaries. And then you can find all these links right down in the description, as always, the documentaries in that film. And then certainly add your thoughts or comments down in the comments area. So let's get going and get into the lives of these Santa Clauses. Now that I think about it, all the reviews in this video are actually going to be all positive reviews, and we'll start with Zoey's Extraordinary Christmas from 2021. I guess this is based on a series. I've never seen the series before. When I get a chance, I'll have to check it out. I really like this movie, so I'm interested to see if the show is just as good. The show is called Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist. I suppose you could compare it to like a Glee, but the difference here is that it's actually good. I know Glee was very popular. I was not a big fan of Glee. I watched the first episode, and that was enough of that for a lifetime as far as Glee is concerned. If Zoey's Extraordinary Christmas is any indication to what the series is, I'll probably enjoy it. I compare this more to Pitch Perfect movies, which were fun and funny. This has that kind of same type of vibe. Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist is an American musical comedy drama television series created by Austin Winsberg that premiered on January 7th of 2020 on NBC. The series stars Jane Levy as Zoey Clark, a software developer who discovers she has the ability to hear the innermost thoughts of people as songs. Each episode features multiple song and dance numbers that develop the storyline, with each cast member singing their own character's songs. In September of 2021, it was announced that streaming service The Roku channel officially commissioned a 2-hour holiday film, which, if successful, could lead to more episodes. The film was released on December 1st of 2021. In addition to songs performed on Zoey's Extraordinary Christmas, a second original song for this series was composed called North Star, written by the very sexy and hot Mary Steenburgen, Caitlin Smith, and Troy Vergas, I suppose, and sung by Tori Kelly, and played during the end credit sequence. The Christmas movie follows the Clark family's first holiday together after their beloved patriarch Mitch has passed away. Zoey attempts to recreate the perfect Christmas, but finds that walking a mile in her father's shoes is a lot more complicated than she ever imagined. As I indicated, the very hot and dreamy, sexy Mary Steenburgen is in this show, portraying the mother. Peter Gallagher, as Mitch Clark, was the father in the original series and does pop up in this movie. How do you ask? Well, watch the movie. And with Zoey out of the way, let's get to those Santa Claus documentaries. Believe the True Story of Real Bearded Santas from 2022 is a cinematic sleigh ride deep into the strange but true world of the real bearded Santas, including visits to Santa Claus University and the annual convention of the Fraternal Order of Real Bearded Santas. Believe chronicles a year in the life of several actual real bearded Santas from across the country. For these men, it's not just a job, it's a calling, and they'll stop at nothing to perpetuate the myth and magic of Santa Claus. Young or old, naughty or nice, this documentary will make you believe all over again. I never gave it much thought that there were actual, Santa schools, Santa conventions, and Santa reunions. I guess it makes sense. I've been to several Star Trek conventions and comic book conventions, so it makes sense that there's, Santa conventions. And guess what is on the buffet? If you said milk and cookies, then you know you're Santa Clauses. One Santa named Dick is an outstanding and magical Santa vehicle. It's a crazy and magnificent spectacle. That's probably my favorite part of this documentary is the parts with the vehicle. It's pretty awesome. Feel kind of strange saying Santa Dick, though. There's Santa D, who is the real Black Santa, and he appears, confirming that some people are real pieces of shit. There was much pushback about him being a mall Santa. Not sure what the hell is wrong with people sometimes. Stupidity can be rampant. And the crazy part is Santa was originally Turkish and had darker skin than your traditional Coca-Cola Santa. Our modern day Santa Claus is based on the Coca-Cola advertisements from the 40s or the 50s. People need to learn history before they open their stupid mouths. This is also why I couldn't be a Santa. I would tell the bigots and racists to go fuck themselves or fuck off. Not a very Santa thing to do. I do have a gripe about the filmmakers because I hate when they do this when it comes to Black Santa, and it's not Black Santa's fault. The example they used in the film giving negative information about Black Santa Clauses in the Wikipedia page, the real Black Santa could have gone in there and made changes. So basically what happened is he Googled, or supposedly the story is he Googled Black Santa, and it was derogatory things that came up on the front page of Google. First of all, Wikipedia is a community information site. You can go in and change that information. The real Black Santa also said he called Google about it. Google has nothing to do with it. Google is a search engine. They don't own Wikipedia or any of the countless websites online. They only rank them based on CEO keywords and their algorithm. The real Black Santa could have started his own website to rank high. Now, I put Black Santa in Google, and there's nothing negative that comes up. The film is only 2 years old, so my shit detector goes off towards the filmmaker who is painting a false narrative. I know they want to tell a compelling story, and racism is a compelling story, but making shit up, or in this case, exaggerating the truth, makes me doubt the entire documentary or any of their work. That's something Michael Moore would do. So I say shame on you, filmmakers, and don't do that again. I think you have to be a special kind of person to be Santa Claus, because if you have that beard all year long, and you're out in public, you're that character all year long. Not that I'm mean to people, but after a time, it would get on my nerves of kids and people coming up to me. I would have to hit them over the head with my Santa set. You now have the discrimination between bearded Santas and those with fake beards, and the fake bearded Santas will hit the street picketing for equal number of frosted cookies. They will march to the White House lawn demanding their equality. They will speak of real bearded Santa's privilege, how they have been suppressing the fake bearded Santas for centuries. It will be a revolution to the likes of Christmas has never seen, and we will be a better world for it. Anyways, this is a great documentary. It was fun, and I highly recommend it. Our next one is I Am Santa Claus from 2014. It's a documentary of an entire year in the lives of 5 real bearded professional Santa Clauses to find out what the rest of the year is like for a man who perpetually looks like Jolly St. Nick. There is a Santa in this documentary that isn't very self-aware. He comes off as very miserable. He comes off as a racist and a homophobe. He was talking about being a Santa at a store for 1 year and not being invited back. I think the store was Bassmasters, I think he said. A weird place to have a Santa Claus. But anyways, if he acts as Santa Claus like he acted in this documentary, I can see why he wasn't invited back. He was miserable. He complained the whole time, and he was extremely judgmental. He was the exact opposite of what Santa Claus was supposed to be. Although he is good with the kids when the time comes in the film. He just seems so miserable, but perhaps that's just his demeanor. The rest of the Santas were great, and this documentary was a little more controversial, I guess, than the others. There was a homosexual Santa and a swinger Santa, and it was made more of a big deal by the grumpy Santa I just mentioned than it should have been. Santa Claus is supposed to be for everybody, so why can't Santa Claus be something for everybody? I'm not typically into political correctness. I can't stand it when Hollywood changes the race or gender of iconic characters just for the sake of representation and virtue signaling, but that's not the case here. No one is saying to do away with the traditional Santa. I'm sure there are those out there who see the character, the traditional Santa, as racist, but again, there are people out there who call everything involving their race racist. They're just miserable or stupid people. All races and genders and sexualities are taking the role seriously and keeping tradition. They're not changing the look of Santa or doing something completely different, like, say, a neon suit or something like that. So the whole race and gender and sexuality thing is stupid, and if you think it's an issue, you have issues, and I would suggest just seek counseling. And these people's sex lives are not anyone's business in the first place, but it is in the documentary, so I do bring it up. I love the documentary. It's a great documentary. They all are. So I would, as all of them that I'm going to review, I would suggest this one as well. Becoming Santa 2011 documentary. After the death of his father, Jack spends the season playing Santa Claus for children and learns about the benefits of belief. The story of one man entering the culture and character of Santa Claus for a single season. We follow Jack as he bleaches his hair and goes to Santa school. He tries to do everything that Santa is asked to do. He works as a sidewalk Santa, does home visits, a Polar Express train, and a parade. Along the way, Jack collects children's wishes and learns about the benefits of belief, the history and origin of Santa, and the ordinary people keeping the spirit alive. Yeah, I forgot. There was a historian in this movie, a Santa Claus and a historian, so he had a lot of insight on the origins of Santa Claus, so that was perfectly interesting. So our buddy Santa D shows up again. He's Black Santa from a previous documentary, which we discussed. All these Santas seem to cross-pollinate in other documentaries. You can see a lot of the same Santas throughout all three documentaries. The world of bearded Santas is a small world after all. You had Adele's of Hollywood show up a couple times in these documentaries, and she shows up again in this one. That's the famous comic. That's a famous costume design shop. I just find it extremely interesting how some Santas are interviewed in one documentary, and then you see them in the background of the next documentary. I would say this documentary is tamer than the other ones. It's less controversial than the other ones. It mostly focuses on the interviewer's experience at Santa camp and their stories about being there. And of course, I highly recommend this one as well. And it's really Jack's movie, although other Santas are interviewed in this. It's really Jack's film mostly. Check it out. It's a fun movie. They're all fun movies, all these documentaries. All right, let's look at Santa Camp from 2022. That's on HBO Max or whatever they call it these days. And although I don't have a link for you if you're not subscribed to Max or HBO Max, there are other ways to watch it. I'll just give you that little hint. There's other ways to watch it out there. I'm just not going to tell you how. So let's get to the documentary. So I do hope everyone realizes that people having issues with race or sexuality of Santa Claus have very serious mental problems. You can call it racism or homophobia or just plain stupidity if you want. I call it a mental disorder, especially if they're sneaking notes to someone's door or doing some other such nonsense, which happens in this movie. They are seriously troubled inside and acting out due to their own insecurities, or they're just morons, one or the other. You pick one. And let me say, as far as the filmmakers are concerned, okay, how much manipulation are they putting into films? And not just this particular film, because this is the most controversial of all of these. It's just that people love controversy and they love outrage and they love to be outraged. And that's why movies like this or documentaries like this are made, right? To invoke some type of emotion for you. So I go back and forth as how manipulative is this movie? This documentary is about more being inclusive when it comes to Santa Claus. The modern Santa Claus is based on Coca-Cola, not Christianity, not the Bible. The modern day Santa Claus got his look from a company trying to sell their product. So you complete morons, you idiots and racists out there thinking Santa Claus should be strictly white, you're basing it on an advertisement from the 1950s. The person that the legend of Santa Claus was mostly drawn from is Turkish. He was a Christian bishop, yes, but he was Turkish. Turkish people are predominantly darker in their skin. You morons thinking Santa Claus started as some white dude are mistaken. The Santa you know is an Americanized, like many things around the world are, right? Countries make certain things their own and change them to fit their culture. What I said for the documentary I Am Santa Claus holds true for this one as well. Why the fuck do you care if a black man or a transgender person is playing Santa Claus? The people playing Santa Claus in these films are holding on the tradition of the clothing and how Santa would be and how they treat the children. It doesn't matter what the fuck gender they are or what race they are. And that's complete stupidity if you think it does. You are fucking stupid if you're enraged about the race, gender, or sexuality of Santa Claus, and you miss the entire point of the holidays and Christmas. And another thing I'd like to speak to as far as Santa Camp is concerned is to the fact that these gentlemen, these Santas who've probably been around and been Santa for 20 or so years, older gentlemen, right? So they're not used to homosexual Santa Clauses, or not necessarily black Santa Clauses. They've been around for a while, or transgender Santa Clauses. So in this case, in this particular video, a lot of the older men were trying. They even showed a scene where someone was trying, and there was a transgender person, and then there was their, I'm assuming, girlfriend. I'm assuming she identifies as a she. She announces herself as a doctor. I'm not sure what type of doctor or what field she's in. That's not the point anyways. The point is to the fact that they kind of made comments under their breath to this gentleman and what he said. Now, he might not have said the most politically correct thing or the correct thing. I don't know what to say around transgender people or homosexuals all the time either, right? That doesn't mean that we're a homophobe or we're against transgender people. We're just not used to being around them, so we don't really know what to say, right? So transgender people, and the reason I'm bringing this up is she was kind of, oh, well, I'm a doctor, and we should fit in. She's just standoffish, is what she came out to be. She came more likable at the end of the film, but as a transgender person, you have to understand if a person is trying, you have to acknowledge that. You can't go off and talk about them behind their back when they're giving it a try, and that's what happened in this film. These Santas were willing to bring in different types of races, different types of sexuality. They were trying. They're not used to it. So I just wanted to bring that up because that kind of bothered me, just how standoffish that woman is. And I can understand that she's been discriminated. It gets to you after a while, and it kind of makes you fly off the handle or give comments when you wouldn't normally, because that stuff builds up. But still, you got to understand that straight people and white people and people not used to, I mean, it can be any gender, any sexuality. It doesn't have to be specifically what I just shouted out. You have to understand that if they're trying, you have to correct them maybe if they say something wrong, so they can learn. All right, so that's all I gotta say. That documentary, boy, it boiled me over. It really did. With the note to the black guy. Some people. So the black guy put up black Santa Clauses. Those black blow up Santa Claus, or those blow up Santa Clauses that you see in people's yards, which are kind of gaudy anyways. But this guy just kind of put up a black, or he didn't kind of, he put up a black Santa Claus and some other black things. He got a note in his mail about black Santa Clauses. So he hired some people or a lady to make more sophisticated black Santa Clauses to put in his yard. That was pretty funny. And I don't know what the hell was wrong with people to feel that that's their problem, their issue, why they need to bother with it. It's not their fucking yard. Go to your own yard and put up what you want. Don't worry about what someone else is putting up in their yard. All right, gals and guys, that was off the cuff. That was off the cuff. So that's why I'm humming and hawing about this. All right, well, this is the last video, the last movie reviews, and I believe this is coming out either the 24th or the 25th. So I'm going to wish you a Merry Christmas to everybody. White people, straight people, transgender people, gay people, black people, purple people, every people. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I will talk to you very, very soon. All right. Everybody, even you assholes who are stupid and homophobes and racist, try to have a Merry Christmas. Try to use your brain. All right. I'm going to go have some coffee, make another video. Ho, ho, ho. All right, have a Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.